Hey, Nation. Here with Nik Rule, head women's golf coach. Nick, I know you're a couple days into the season, so hopefully that helps out us talking about the preview and such. But before we get into 15-16, let's recap 14-15 and another great year. Second straight conference title, second straight trip to nationals, 12th place, all of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it was just a great year. I mean, we talked a lot about it at the end of the year, but for 2 years prior, we felt like we should have won the conference championship,
Right.
and we didn't. Many of it said we were upset, and I think we were. But we were just so young at that time, and so that first conference title that we won 2 years ago, we weren't the hunted yet. Like we were still the hunter, and there were some expectations that we put on ourselves, but until you really win one, outsiders don't necessarily throw all these expectations at you.
Yeah.
And so, we won it, and it was, a lot of emotion. Everyone was excited and all that. The next year was very different because we didn't really lose a whole lot. And everyone looked at us as, hey, this is the team to beat. And so there were expectations. There were expectations we felt in the community. We felt everyone on campus was saying, oh, you guys are going to win the conference tournament again this year. And it's like, it's a lot
Easier
of
said than done.
Easier said than done. And so we went through a whole season with that type of pressure. And the first championship was just pure bliss. Everyone was so excited, and there were tears and all that. Last year, it was just, it was just a sense of relief because we knew we were supposed to do it, and we did. And then we went to the national tournament, and we didn't really play our greatest, but we still finished in the top 12 in the country. We really feel like we should have finished in the top 8, but another milestone. So. We have just some amazing players in this program, just great student athletes that really buy into everything we say, and they've been a big reason why we've been able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish the past few years.
Right.
And now we're kind of in the same situation, new conference, but people kind of expect us to do well, and so that type of those expectations are back.
Sure, definitely. We'll get right into 15-16. You've talked to. You guys have a couple days under your belt. They came in middle last week. You already had an exhibition against Central on Friday. I guess talk about preseason real quick, and then we can get into newcomers, returners, all that.
Yeah, we had a very abbreviated preseason compared to years past. Usually we come in a lot earlier, and just some other things, we weren't able to report till a little bit later. And so our training camp, which is usually what a lot of teams call 2-a-days, it was abbreviated. I mean, it really only lasted 4 days. But it was good. I would say those were the best 4 straight days of practice that we've had. Just a high level of focus. And I tell you what, our girls, returners and newcomers for the most part came in very prepared. And golf is so weird. So with other sports, the summer is kind of a break. Well, and then you get into your seasons, basketball, winter, whatever it may be. That's your peak season. Well, the peak season for golf is the summer when collegiate golf is not competing. And so the summer, I would argue, is more important for golfers than it is really any other sport in collegiate athletics. And you have to use that time to your advantage. And I feel like our players certainly did that for the most part, and we're really excited about where they're at.
Sure, definitely. However you want to break it up. If you want to break it up by class, you want to break it up by returners versus newcomers, however.
Yeah, I'll kind of go in order by class here, and I'll start with Demi Kutsa from South Africa. She's a senior. I mean, everyone knows about her. I mean, it kind of feels like Demi has been around more than 4 years because she's just been a staple in our program, and I don't think that we could really put any type of tag on how important she has been to our program because she's been very, very important. She's been one of the big reasons why we had so much success. She's a returning All-American. I mean, we're lucky to return an All-American and a 2-time conference tournament champion. And her attitude is great this year, and her game is better than it's ever been. She's focused. She wants to go out on top, kind of like similar to like how Maggie Yang was last year. It was her last season coming in. She wanted to go out on top, and and Demi's serving as a good example of what to do on and off the course. And so we're just really lucky to have a player like that back. And then you look at Natalie Booten. Natalie was on our national tournament team last year. Great success story. Didn't have the best year her sophomore year and worked hard and came back. She was actually an alternate on our national tournament team the year before. And hey, she was our MVP at nationals. Yeah. She was played in the number 5 spot and had one of the top scores of a number 5 at nationals. And her perspective on the game and just on life in general, much with the same with Demi, they just got this very good core to them right now. And they're good leadership figures for our program. So Natalie's played well. I know the first few rounds in qualifying, she hasn't really felt like she's played her best, but she's played well enough to position herself in a really good spot.
Sure.
One girl I really want to talk about is Courtney Cunningham. This girl worked her tail off this summer. She was in a similar story as Natalie in a sense. She was on her sophomore year. Her freshman year, she was on our conference team and on the national team. And last year, she was an alternate to both.
Right.
And honestly, it wasn't really anything Courtney did wrong because she didn't. She played well and everything. We had a lot of kids playing well at that time. Mm-hmm. But she took it as a little chip on her shoulder, and she worked her butt off. And she's throwing some numbers down that we always knew that she could that are really, really impressive right now. And she's going to be a big, big piece going forward. And, she's an unsung hero. She's one of those players that doesn't necessarily get all the attention, right? But probably deserves more, but never complains, soaks everything up, does everything the coaching staff has asked her to do the last 2 years. And you know what? That pays off. If you buy in, you can have results like she's having. Mm-hmm. You talk about some of our other returners. Alexi Rule worked hard this summer, probably harder than she's ever worked, and I know harder than she's ever worked. And Jody Sato, another one. Those two are going to mix in. Brooke Fletcher had a really good summer as well. She looks like a completely different player this year, just from a mental standpoint, much more confident. And then Jing, Jing. Jing. I don't know that Jing is as ready as she was in years past. Mm-hmm. But Jing is going to be a doctor one day.
Yeah.
She was taking the MCAT this summer.
Oh, there you go. So she has an excuse.
She gets. And so what Jing is doing right now is she's grinding off the rust. Yeah. And so that's what her fall is really going to be. Everyone else was working really hard this summer, and it's not no discount to her that she wasn't able to. She's got bigger things. She's going to graduate college with pre-professional biology in 3 years.
Yes, exactly.
She's a third-year senior. So she had some things going on that were in our program. You have to take care of your academic work first, and life is more important than golf. Yep. And she's doing what she had to do. So she just needs to grind off that rust, and that's what the fall is.
I just want to make sure you didn't miss it. You got that going on the list. I was like, go back up there. You got a third-year senior up there.
And some of our newcomers coming in that we're really excited about. Miranda Keeler. She's from Nebraska. AIB had that unfortunate situation where they closed, and we were fortunate enough to pick up her, and she's going to be a huge part of it. She was the newcomer of the year in the conference last year. She's a talented and very focused individual, and she again is another player that just kind of really listens to everything coach says, our coaching staff says, and she's gonna progress well in our system. And then you talk about a player like Elise Warren out of Australia. She's probably been one of those players that you get a player that you're just really, really excited about. Yeah. Hasn't played golf her whole life. Just a pure athlete though. Great golf swing, and she has the capability of producing some really low numbers. And then another kid that just listens and wants to get better. Talk a little bit about Helena Larsen out of Denmark, another good, just solid golf swing, another athlete, just needs that experience, and she's getting that already. She has the capability of shooting in the 70s every single time she takes the course, and so we're pretty excited about her as well. And you got just a group of freshmen that just care, and they just listen, and they just want to get better. You talk about Megan Rhodes and Bailey Rhymes and Sophie Lund, Alyssa Carey. She's been another great story in training camp. The girl's got a remarkable short game. She doesn't necessarily hit the ball long enough all the tee, but the distance will come. But in little itty-bitty things we're going to work on, and I expect her to be a big-time player in this program for years to come. So, and then Tiffany Duhan. I'm not going to say the last name right because she's from Louisiana, but it's got a little French to it too, so I got to learn how to say it right. But and so that group is they're just working hard and they're just gaining experience and they'll be very good going forward. And we got to mention someone that's redshirting, Carly Schmalls, who just buys into everything we do. She's going to be a big help as well. But that's kind of our roster in a sense, and you got Armenia Flores returning as well, and just she keeps the team light and jokes around, and so the way we structure our program, which you well know, and is that we try to find so many different personalities and have them all come work together. We don't want two of the same people, and that builds this really good team that we have.
Yeah, nice diversity for sure. Going right into schedule and conference, you guys have 6 tournaments, right? This
yeah.
Ending off with really kind of an NAIA preview type situation down in Oklahoma City in late October. So obviously a big tournament there, a few at home. So Statesman Nation are going to have a good chance to watch you as well. Right here in Oski or down in Moravia. So just talk about the fall schedule and then capping it off. And
one thing that it's interesting you're bringing up the schedule, because one thing that we noticed is that we would travel large distances at the start of the season. And we'd play well, and so the early September was great, and then we've had a history the last 3 years of just not playing very well in late September, and it kind of hurts us in the rankings. So what we've done this year is that we're starting out earlier. We're not traveling very much. We're playing tournaments, but we're playing close. Like we're playing in Moravia, like you said, at the Preserve at Rathbun Lake, our second home course. Then our varsity team is going to a tournament in Illinois, which it's probably one of the better fields that we're going to be playing in this. And then we're playing at Central, and then we have a few weeks off, and then we're playing at Baker, and then in the middle there we're playing a one-dayer at Grinnell. So we're trying to keep our kids fresh, because then when we get into October, hey, Baker's there, we're going to Kansas, and then we're going to Oklahoma City. We've got 2 home events squeezed in there too. But we just felt like we had 4 wheels on the road too much, and we have some great golf tournaments right around this area with some great courses, and so we're going to utilize those this year and kind of see how it goes. And so that's the change in our schedule. We're trying to keep our kids fresh, because golf is a 2-season sport, fall and spring, and so we want to keep them fresh, and we don't want that late September slump which we've had before.
Right, definitely. And then I guess the last thing, going into a new conference, the Heart, not a really traditional, strong women's golf conference, but there are good teams in there, and they're only going to probably get better, especially with us and Grandview going there and probably pushing it up a little bit. But what are the feelings going into the new conference?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like, this year I know Mount Mercy and Clark are not actually going to be members of all different sports, but in women's golf they are. And so we have Grandview, Mount Mercy, Clark, and us, so 4 schools from the MCC. So it's going to basically have half the MCC going over into the Heart. And the Heart is, there are a lot of schools, and I feel like that the 4 schools that we have coming over are going to elevate the playing field there. The defending conference champion in the Heart is not William Penn University.
Right, exactly.
And we're not defending champs. Our conference doesn't exist anymore. We're defending champs of a conference that doesn't exist. So it's time for us to prove where we actually are. We're not. We're the hunt. We're the hunted, or the hunter again. We're not the hunted. I mean, some might say we are, but we're not the defending.
You haven't proven anything in the Heart yet because we've never been there. So.
The conference champion right now is Baker. And they deserve it. And so we have to prove that we are good enough to be the conference champion of the Heart. And the Heart isn't, you know this, I mean, you've been so associated with the new conference and the whole move and everything. What an amazing conference. I mean, they just, everything's very organized and it's just a very professional setting. We're excited to be in it, and we're excited to join up with all those other schools and have a great conference tournament and that Peru State's hosting and I think it's late April, early May, but we want to win the conference title because we are not the defending champions, and that's something that we'll tell our kids over and over again. You're defending champions of an old conference. So it's Baker's the team to beat, and I hope they know that they are the team to beat. And that's the way we're looking at it.
I guess finally, keys to success here in 2015-16.
Keys to success. We have. It's interesting. We have We have half our team is very old,
right,
and half our team is very young. We don't really have anything in the middle, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so we've assembled a really good coaching staff. We added Chris Pearson, who's an alum, played men's golf here. He coached actually at Central College, head women's coach there for a year, and he's one of the better players in the community, the golf community here. He has such a high level of understanding of golf. And then Dylan Detweiler, who we added in the spring of last year, he just has this calming effect with our players. He's so good at discussing things and talking with them. And then we have Tom Sizemore, who's helped us in practices. He's our special assistant, helps us out there. And so we assembled a good coaching staff. And the key to it is just our girls need to buy into the journey. Yeah. Making changes in golf and getting better doesn't happen overnight. And if they buy into the journey and they look at the example of the Demis, the Natalies, the Courtneys of the world on this team, the Jodies, and they look at an example of what they've done in this program, they're going to excel. And so, the challenge is just, there's competition, a lot of internal competition in our team, embracing that, because that's a really, really good thing. If we didn't have that internal competition, we wouldn't be where we are today. I had an alum talk to me about this just a few days ago, that she felt like that she would have been an even better player in our program if there was more competition within, and she looks back at now and is jealous of what we have because that internal competition would have made her better. And so it's just embracing the journey, and it's a long road, and it's at times it'll be a trying journey, but along the way there's going to be a lot of successes with it. And so our players are just going to continue to buy in, and but when it comes down to it, it's just going to be using that experience that we have, and our upperclassmen figuring out how they can utilize everything they've learned and teach it to the younger players, and leave the program in a better shape than what they had it.
Sure, definitely. All right, well, 8 months from now, and we'll talk many times before then, but 8 months from now, hopefully we're talking about another conference title, another trip to nationals, but I think you got things in order where you want to go. So
yeah, I just want to say one other thing about we're in a good spot, and not to increase expectations, but just for example, in qualifying yesterday, our top 4 players would have shot a 300.
Sure.
Which that's
really good for a
really
women's
good.
program.
That's getting into top 7 range in the nation, and so we're excited. We just got to continue to stay on the right path.
Sure, definitely. All right, Coach. Well, good luck. I know you guys playing Monday, Tuesday down in Moravia, so everybody come out and check out the Statesman. So, all right, thanks.
Appreciate it, Wade.